The future of health economy, the potential of behavioral and experimental economy. Abstract. Healthcare systems around the globe are facing great challenges. The demand for healthcare is increasing due to the continuous development of new medical technologies, changing demographics, increasing income level, and greater expectation from patients. The possibilities and willingness to expand healthcare resources, however, are limited. Consequently, healthcare organizations are increasingly required to make economic restrictions into account, and there is an urgent need for improved efficiencies. It is reasonable to ask whether the health economic field of today is prepared and equipped to help us meet these challenges. Our aim with this article is twofold: to introduce the view of behavioral and experimental economics, and to then identify and characterize health economic areas where these two fields have a promising potential. We also discuss the advantages of pluralistic view in health economic research, and we anticipate a dynamic future for health economy. Introductions. Health systems around the world are facing similar challenges. Demand for healthcare is increasing due to the continuous development of new medical technologies, changing demographics, increasing and more diversified rural income, and increasing expectation from patients. At the same time, there are only limited possibilities and willingness to expand healthcare resources through increased taxations on mandatory insurance. Consequently, there is an urgent need to find ways of improving efficiencies in healthcare sector. An important question is to what extent the health economy of today is prepared and equipped to meet these challenges. Health economy were initially largely viewed as an applied field of economics, basically an application of neoclassical welfare economy, based with a close connection to the medical sciences. In 2000, on the first page of the introduction to the handbook of health economy, Keywords and Newhouse could argue that by almost any criterion, health economy has been a remarkably successful subdiscipline. Similarly, in a methodological analysis of health economy, Brush concluded that there has been steady theoretical and empirical progress in health economic areas since 1970, but also notes that much of health economy research consists of research from the US. Funch, 2000, agreed that the health economy had undergone a remarkable development, but also agreed in favor of developing a better understanding of economic behavior, especially through the incorporation of behavioral economy. In the Northern Journal of Health Economics, several recent articles suggest an expansion or refocus of today's health economy, especially in relation to the Nordic health care model. For example, Pedersen's 2012 argued in favor of better accounting of the institutional structure of healthcare system. According to him, we need a wider perspective covering non-market methods and resource allocations by public mechanisms. Moniz et al. 2012 argued for non-market methods in a similar way, but specifically in favor of a communitarian perspective. In Rai Research 2000, we focused in this article on how our understanding of health economic decision-making can be improved by considering methods, theories, and results from behavioral and experimental economics. We are still waiting for a major breakout of behavioral and experimental economics into health economics, such as those that have taken place, for example, financial economics and game theories. The aim of this article is twofold. The first aim is to present the relevant part of behavioral and experimental economics. It is often argued that behavioral and experimental economics provide a better and more realistic account of individual economic decision-making compared to neoclassical economics. Our second aim is consequently to suggest the research potential that lie in an application of these two fields to a number of health economic issues. However, this does not mean that all areas of health economy would necessarily benefit greatly from such an endeavor, or that this is the only way forward in health economy. This article is not intended to be a classical systematic review. Behavioral and experimental and health economy are three well-developed areas of economics. Reviewing frontier research in all three areas in single articles, including their interactions, is clearly impossible. Our more modest ambitions is to introduce behavioral and experimental economy to the health economic researchers and to suggest a number of applications we believe are particularly promising. It is also beyond the scope of this article to address the issue of how these suggestions and insights relate specifically to the Nordic healthcare system, not least in view of the considerable differences across and within the Nordic countries. However, we will have a fair amount to say about public healthcare system, which means the Nordic countries are indirectly in focus. In some cases, straightforward application of behavioral and experimental economy seems possible. In other cases, even development of behavioral and experimental economy in conjunction with health economics seems possible. For example, one important focus in this article will be the behaviors of doctors, an area where it seems to us that relatively little theoretical or empirical progress has been made since McGuire's 2000 review. An increased understanding of what motivates and guides medical decision-making will likely enable us to increase efficiencies in various healthcare systems. The article is organized as follows. We start by introducing behavioral and experimental economics. We then note some of particularly promising directions for health economy to develop in conjunction with behavioral and experimental economy. Finally, we make a few comments on methodological pluralism. We end with some general conclusions. 2. Introducing behavioral and experimental economy. This article distinguishes between behavioral and experimental economy, although they are often viewed as one and the same. Behavioral economy is essentially a theoretical approach, and those who engage in it often perform economic experience in their empirical work. However, not all behavioral economists perform experiments, and experiments can also be performed by neoclassical economists. Some experimental economists are also critical of behavioral economic approaches and vice versa. For example, in 2002, the Nobel